Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. So we encourage you to use the chat to ask questions in English or French today at any time to the group or directly to any of the moderators in case you need any technical assistance. We'll be using Mentimeter today. You can use this on your phone, tablet, or laptop, and we'll provide instructions on how to access and use Mentimeter in a few minutes. QR codes and links that will be shared via the chat will be provided throughout the webinar for you to access resources and tools that we share today. And the webinar recording, presentation, and resources will also be shared by email. So to get us started, I'm excited to first turn things over to Bev Johnston, Division Chief in the Office of Population and Reproductive Health, Policy Evaluation and Communication Division at USAID. Bev, good morning, and over to you.
Thank you, Amanda, and good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everybody. As Amanda noted, I'm Beverly Johnston, and I'm the Chief of the Policy Evaluation and Communication Division within USAID's Office of Population and Reproductive Health. I've been given the privilege today to welcome you to this breakthrough research webinar. Today's webinar is part of a series of capstone learning and sharing events as the project wraps up many successful years. As the chief of the division where the project is housed, I've been fortunate to learn from the project managers and leaders over the last 6 years. We are so proud of their accomplishments and are excited that they can share a few of their successes with us through webinars over the next several months. As we all know, what gets measured gets done. And that saying rings true for the family planning community and family planning programming. The more we know about capturing the family planning impact and outcomes of SBC programming through appropriate and accurate measures, the better health practitioners and program implementers can prioritize and invest in SBC approaches. Indeed, the Breakthrough Research Project recognized the variable effectiveness of SBC actions and how the determination of effectiveness often depended upon what was measured. So I look forward today to learning more about the steps the project took to build consensus for a learning agenda, to explore this measurement issue further, and how the project encouraged the use of a theory of change to monitor and evaluate SBC programs. We'll also learn about some recommended SBC indicators for family planning and useful tools to build local capacity. So I think next slide. So just as a little reminder, if you're not aware, the Breakthrough Research Project is USAID's flagship SBC research and evaluation project to drive the generation, packaging, and use of innovative SBC research to inform programming. So it's been implemented between August 2017 and we'll wrap up this July. It's led by Population Council in collaboration with their consortium partners, which include Tulane, Avenir Health, the Population Reference Bureau, and the Institute for Reproductive Health at Georgetown, as well as Ideas 42. So Breakthrough Research also works closely with its sister project, Breakthrough Action, also in the PEC division of USAID's Office of Pop and Reproductive Health, as well as a number of other implementing partners working on social behavior change and service delivery. The project's approach is to foster collaboration and shared learning, ensure SBC programs are based in what works, and elevate the impacts of evidence-based SBC programs and put evidence into practice. So this approach, as we know, is key to achieving USAID's localization and primary healthcare priorities, in addition to the family planning reproductive health priorities of the Office of Population and Reproductive Health. So I look forward to hearing from the project leadership and colleagues today as they share their expertise and experience. So thank you very much. And I think we're over to Laura. Laura, take it away.
Great. Thank you so much, Bev. I also want to welcome everyone to today's webinar. My name is Laura Reichenbach, and I'm the project director for Breakthrough Research. Breakthrough Research has had a productive 6 years, and I want to share a quick snapshot of a few of our metrics. The project has worked in 19 countries and engaged with 21 global and country partners on 53 research studies. This has resulted in 27 peer-reviewed publications and 94 citations to date across the 4 priority technical areas of the project: provider behavior change, SBC and the enabling environment, advancing SBC measurement, and costing for SBC. Today's webinar is the second of 4 complementary legacy and learning webinars. These webinars are intended for programmers, researchers, development partners, and donors, and are designed to be an interactive learning opportunity. Please join us for the full complement of this legacy and learning series. More information will be shared at the end of today's session. And welcome back to those of you who joined us last month for our first legacy and learning webinar on provider behavior change and SBC approaches to improving quality of care in family planning. If you missed it, you can use the link in the chat to access the recording, PBC resources, and webinar slide deck. For this webinar, we'll highlight evidence, insights, and learnings from the past 6 years from Breakthrough Research's work to advance SBC measurement to support and strengthen family planning programs. We'll also share resources and evidence-based practical tools you can use to strengthen SBC measurement, evaluation, and research. First, we'll start by briefly setting the scene for SBC measurement in family planning. Next, through a series of short presentations, we'll share some of Breakthrough Research's state-of-the-art evidence and SBC measurement tools you can use that the project has produced over the past 6 years to advance and strengthen SBC measurement. We'll then share a call to action for programmers and implementers, researchers, donors, and communities of practice, particularly those focused on measurement for family planning. What can you, in your role, do next as we look to the future of SBC measurement to support family planning programs? I'll now turn it over to Amanda Calamar, the Technical Director for Breakthrough Research. Amanda, over to you.
So now that we're here, let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to go to the next screen to kick off our first question. So first, please let us know where you're joining this webinar from today by placing the blue dot near your geographic location and pressing submit. You'll see the results live on the screen here. Fantastic. It's great to see colleagues from so many different places across the globe. So next, as a first question to start us off, do you use SBC approaches as part of your work? Please let us know if yes, you do, no, you don't, or if you don't know. And you'll see the results live on the screen here once you press that submit button. Okay, great. So lots of people using SBC approaches in their work. So thinking about that, as we move to our next question, how challenging do you find it to measure SBC approaches? So you can use the sliding scale to let us know if you find it extremely challenging, if you find it not at all challenging, or somewhere in between. Okay, so we're falling somewhere in the middle, maybe closer to the extremely challenging side. So this is great to know, and we hope after today, we'll share some tools you can use that will help us move a little bit more towards the right-hand side and have this be a little bit less challenging. And finally, we'd like to know a bit about who is joining us today. So do you consider yourself to be a program designer or implementer, to be a researcher or M&E officer, or are you a donor or a stakeholder or policymaker? Great. We have a great mix of people in the room, so thanks so much for that. And thank you all for your participation in this first Mentimeter. We look forward to your continued participation using Mentimeter again in a few minutes and throughout the webinar, so keep that close by. Let's now set the scene for SBC measurement and family planning programs and dive into the evidence.
Today, we'll be sharing just a selection of our work over the past 6 years, organized around key messages we'd like to leave you with. The links that we provide throughout the webinar can be used to go deeper into the evidence and the tools shared. We'll also share a link at the end of the webinar to a collection of a larger body of Breakthrough Research's work on SBC measurement. A growing body of evidence suggests that SBC interventions improve family planning outcomes, such as directly increasing contraceptive uptake or increasing contraceptive use through pathways that address intermediate determinants such as attitudes around family planning, and yet barriers still exist to SBC inclusion and investments. Some SBC interventions are more effective than others, and the estimated effectiveness of SBC interventions can vary depending on the measures we use to assess them. The measurement of SBC interventions and SBC implementation science approaches can also be important in addressing implementation questions around scale-up and program replication. A first key message for today. SBC approaches can support family planning programs, and the standardized measurement of these approaches, guided by a defined theory of change, is critical to understanding their effectiveness and contributing to their success. To dive a little deeper into this key message, we'll highlight some of the evidence that Breakthrough Research has generated over the past 6 years, outlining the importance of SBC measurement and the need for strengthened SBC measures. You'll hear from those on the Breakthrough Research team involved in developing these resources, and they will be available at the end of the webinar to answer questions. First, over to Sanyukta.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, colleagues. My name is Sanyukta Mathur, and I'm a social and behavioral scientist at the Population Council. I've had the pleasure of serving as the technical advisor on gender and youth on the project and led the process towards developing research and learning agendas on 2 programmatic themes that emerge as key priorities in the SBC field: provider behavior change and integrated SBC programs. At the start of the project, in collaboration with USAID and building on past efforts, we took an intentional, consensus-driven approach to develop global SBC research and learning agendas. We engaged over 190 stakeholders in this process, including researchers, implementing partners, service delivery organizations, and donors. The goal of developing these RLAs was to help guide decision-making across sectors, foster collective learning, reduce duplication of efforts, and maximize the impact of research and programmatic investments. Our starting point was a desk review, a review of reviews, focused on already synthesized evidence on SBC programmatic research or evaluations from low and middle income countries. In this review, we focused on USAID's key global health SBC technical areas, reviewing documents from 2012 to 2018, tapping both peer-reviewed and programmatic literature. A total of 160 review documents were collected, and explicitly stated research gaps were then extracted and tagged by health area. This was followed by a series of expert consultations focused on validating the desk review results and pinpointing and prioritizing cross-cutting themes, SBC knowledge gaps, and generating research questions to enhance SBC programming in complex real-world settings. Measurement was identified as a clear evidence gap from both the desk review, as shown in the table, as well as the consultations with experts and stakeholders, as shown in the word cloud. From the desk review, we found a persistently noted gap was the lack of consistency and alignment in the indicators used to measure the same outcomes on mediating factors. For example, some of the measurement gaps that hindered the evidence base on family planning programming included inconsistent measures used as outcomes in assessing contraceptive use, inadequate measures of contraceptive discontinuation, and limited or consistent measures to assess male involvement in family planning decision-making. It is important to note that these knowledge gaps are not mutually exclusive. Take, for instance, the links between effectiveness and measurement. You need good measures for effective evaluations. Similarly, there's a link between theory and measurement. One of our consultation participants articulated the challenge as follows. He said, we need to base research and interventions in theories of change. There's a lot of retrospective grounding in theory, which usually creates measurement problems. The RLAs for advancing integrated SBC programming and for advancing PBC programming respond to this identified evidence gap by articulating a set of research and learning questions around measurement and effectiveness, where measurement is a key component. Without consistency in defining what we are measuring and how we are measuring it, it is challenging to look across SBC efforts to extract what is working or not. These identified evidence gaps and accompanying research and learning agenda questions have helped guide breakthrough researchers' work over the past 6 years to advance SBC measurement. Thank you for listening. Please scan the QR code to learn more about our research and learning agendas. Thank you.
Given the identified evidence needs just shared, we know that applying tools to understand who SBC programs are reaching, how they are reaching them, with what content, and what changes they are producing is critical for effective measurement of SBC in family planning programs. And so, Breakthrough Research has developed several SBC measurement tools you can use. We'll next share some brief dives into SBC measurement tools that you can use in support of your family planning programs and outcomes through a short presentation aimed at highlighting what the tool is, why it's needed, and how you can use it, followed by interactive feedback through Mentimeter and a short question and answer discussion. You'll again hear from members of the Breakthrough Research team, and they'll spend a few minutes after each short presentation reacting to the feedback that you'll give through Mentimeter. First, over to you, Leanne.
Hello, my name is Leanne Doherty, and I will be sharing an example of an SBC measurement tool focused on how to use a theory of change to monitor and evaluate SBC programs. In the Breakthrough Research How-To Brief, we highlight how behavior change theory can be incorporated into an SBC program's theory of change to illustrate how or why a desired change is expected to occur. We emphasize that behavior change theory can be used to guide the identification of behavioral determinants that influence program goals and objectives. Using evidence generated through the application of a theory of change, program managers and research monitoring and evaluation staff can identify and collect robust theory-driven evidence to guide programs. How-to guide users are guided through 6 steps to use a theory of change to monitor and evaluate SBC programs, with details and example applications along the way. Step 1, understand factors influencing priority behaviors targeted by the SBC program using behavioral theory. Step 2, build a program theory of change. Step 3, select meaningful SBC indicators. Step 4, monitor SBC implementation. Step 5, evaluate SBC implementation effectiveness and impact. And Step 6, communicate findings. Through this process, users will have the chance to explore examples of theories of change that are underpinned by behavioral theory. For example, this theory of change from the West Africa Breakthrough Action Program, Merci Monero, includes elements of the theory of planned behavior and highlights behavioral determinants such as attitudes, social norms, and self-efficacy, as drivers of the program's intended health outcomes. The guide also provides examples of how to operationalize measurement of these behavioral determinants by defining the behaviors, knowledge, attitudes, self-efficacy, behavioral intent, and norms the program intends to change. Finally, the how-to guide provides guidance on the process of integrating the theory of change into an M&E plan by first using a theory of change process at the design stage to identify the important behavioral determinants that should be addressed. Second, by selecting indicators for the M&E plan that measures exposure to the program, determinants of behavior, and behavioral outcomes. Third, by proposing the addition of introducing qualitative studies, such as in-depth interviews or focus group discussions, to complement routine monitoring and provide more explanatory evidence. And finally, by advocating that programs share what works so interventions can be improved. You can learn more and access the how-to brief by scanning the QR code to access the web link. Thank you.
Thanks so much for that, Leanne.
Merci, Léane. Nous aimerions prendre de vos nouvelles en utilisant Mentimeter. Veuillez reprendre là où vous étiez sur Mentimeter ou si vous devez nous rejoindre, rendez-vous sur menti.com et entrez le code 2298 6328 ou utilisez le code QR pour vous rendre sur Mentimeter.
Great. Thank you for hitting the thumbs
Très
up.
bien, merci pour indiquer que vous êtes avec nous. Merci d'avoir indiqué. Tout d'abord, pour prendre le pôle, l'outil que Léane vous a présenté, utilisez-vous souvent cet outil dans le cadre de votre travail?
Great. Seeing an interesting split.
Très bien, merci. Je vois les réponses entre vous, ceux qui utilisent souvent, ceux qui ne l'utilisent pas et ceux qui voudraient. Le guide Comment procéder qui sera partagé vous aidera à y parvenir. Avec cela à l'esprit, dans une courte phrase, pouvez-vous nous dire quelle est la chose la plus difficile quant à l'utilisation de la théorie du changement? Le défi le plus grand auquel vous êtes confronté.
I'm seeing lots of complicated.
Je vois beaucoup de compliqués, beaucoup de réponses compliquées.
So Leanne, and I think you're with us, so I'm hoping we can
J'espère que Léane est avec nous et vous aurez la parole bientôt. Donc, pouvez-vous nous dire quelque chose sur comment utiliser la théorie du changement et expliquez-nous cela en des termes assez simples.
Great, just to get a sense of what people's
Donc, c'est très important de savoir quelles sont les expériences des personnes quant à l'utilisation de la théorie du changement. Je suis d'accord avec vous, ce processus peut être compliqué, notamment lorsque vous utilisez plusieurs éléments de divers programmes et vous pouvez avoir plusieurs programmes qui œuvrent ensemble. Donc, vous avez beaucoup de facteurs, plusieurs activités qui contribuent au changement et il pourrait y avoir beaucoup de discussions et beaucoup de changes sur comment évoluer et sur quoi faire, ou alors en termes de direction sur comment les choses se mettent en place. Mais pour ce qui est de déterminer ces déterminants qui conduisent au changement, c'est quelque chose de très important parce que vous devez déterminer ou alors définir le point qui nécessite de l'emphase de votre part. Donc, vous devez comprendre quelles sont vos faiblesses, quels sont les points qui nécessitent plus d'attention. Donc, j'espère que le guide sera très utile pour ceux qui veulent utiliser la théorie du changement. Et j'espère que vous comprendrez mieux ce à quoi ça renvoie et vous aurez également des propositions d'idées qui peuvent rentrer en compte dans le travail que vous faites. Merci, Léane. Merci à tous et à chacun pour votre participation active. Mentimeter, nous y reviendrons très prochainement. Nous passons la parole à Martha qui va partager les 12 indicateurs recommandés par Breakthrough Research.
And I am the data strategist and innovation team lead for Breakthrough Research. We know that SBC measurement enables programs to engage in continuous learning and improvement, as well as demonstrate how SBC interventions improve desired outcomes. SBC measurement, along with good research design, also provides evidence of SBC's effectiveness. This can then be used to mobilize further investment into SBC approaches to support family planning programs. In this tool we propose 12 SBC indicators that programs can consider adopting to monitor and evaluate SBC programs. In thinking about which SBC indicators to recommend, we used the ideational model of SBC interventions, used extensively by SBC practitioners, which describes stages of the innovation decision process prior to behavior change. We selected indicators from the SBC Indicator Bank for Family Planning and Service Delivery that were aligned with this model of behavior change to ensure that the 12 recommendations represented measurement of exposure to SBC programming, measurement of intermediate determinants, and measures of intention and behavioral outcomes. While the SBC Indicator Bank did not include a cost-related indicator, experts recognized the importance of collecting cost-related data to support advocating for SBC investments. Measuring exposure to SBC programming enables us to understand the extent to which beneficiaries are exposed to SBC approaches. In alignment with the ideational model, we recommend the 3 indicators you see here. All of these recommended indicators are also being shared through a link in the chat. Measuring intermediate determinants enables us to understand the factors contributing to behavioral outcomes. Here, we recommend 5 indicators. Measures in this process include knowledge, attitudes, emotional determinants such as self-efficacy, and social dimensions such as discussions of family planning with one's spouse and friends. Prior to adopting the proposed 12 indicators, program implementers can review formative research to select the ideational components most relevant to the country and programmatic context. Measuring intention and behavioral outcomes enables us to determine if the behavior has changed, and we recommend 3 indicators here. And finally, measuring cost enables us to understand the resources used and resources needed to reach a target audience, and we recommend 1 indicator for this. To accompany these 12 recommended indicators and help audiences use these indicators in their family planning programs, Breakthrough Research also developed indicator reference sheets. Indicator reference sheets help program implementers use and adapt indicators to measure program successes and failures, ensure data quality, and help users correctly interpret data produced by an organization. We're also sharing in the chat a link to related work that the project did to strengthen SBC measurement and evaluation for family planning in Francophone West Africa, where we mapped investments and indicators in use in 4 countries to identify strengths and gaps in current approaches to SBC measurement and propose additional indicators for incorporation into SBC monitoring systems to fill some of the identified gaps.
Thanks so much, Martha.
Merci beaucoup, Martha. Nous allons prendre quelques minutes pour vous entendre à nouveau à travers Mentimeter. Veuillez reprendre là où vous étiez sur Mentimeter. Et si vous venez de vous joindre à nous, rendez-vous sur Mentimeter ou entrez le code QR pour vous rendre sur Mentimeter.
Wonderful. Thanks so much for hitting that.
Très bien, merci de signaler que nous sommes ensemble sur Mentimeter. Merci pour les pouces levés. Maintenant que nous avons parlé de 12 recommandations pour la planification familiale, une question. Est-ce que vous voyez utiliser ces indicateurs dans le cadre de votre travail?
Great. It looks like a lot of you will use them right away.
Je vois que plusieurs d'entre vous allons les utiliser immédiatement. Donc, nous espérons que les ressources partagées vous permettront d'y parvenir. Et ceux qui ont dit oui, peut-être plus tard, nous espérons que vous aurez également les ressources pour le faire plus tard. Pour avoir l'idée des difficultés, pouvez-vous placer un point à côté de l'indicateur que vous utilisez, par exemple, les déterminants, les indicateurs intermédiaires, les résultats comportementaux, les coûts. Quels sont les indicateurs que vous mesurez régulièrement dans le cadre de votre travail?
Great. It looks like there's a pretty
Très
good.
bien. Donc, je vois que les personnes sont assez partagées. Donc, Martha, j'espère que vous êtes là. Je ne vois pas de point sur l'indicateur 12 sur le coût. Pouvez-vous nous dire quelque chose sur cela? Merci, Amanda. Je pense que ce n'est pas très surprenant. À travers le projet Breakthrough Research, ce que nous avons observé, c'est que je voyais souvent les données liées au coût comme étant utiles pour l'efficacité, le rapport qualité-coût. Mais je pense que nous avons plusieurs autres utilisations liées au coût et pas seulement l'efficacité et le rapport qualité-prix. Donc, nos collègues chez Breakthrough Research nous encouragent tous à collecter des indicateurs liés au coût parce que nous avons tous des coûts. Nos projets impliquent des coûts divers, donc ces données sont utiles en ce qui concerne la planification. Donc, nous vous invitons à prendre en compte cet indicateur lié au coût et je pense que nous avons également des outils à cet effet. Merci. Merci, Martha. Comme vous l'avez dit, si vous êtes intéressé, si vous voulez apprendre davantage sur le rapport qualité pris. Je vais vous envoyer un lien à la fin de ce webinaire et je vous encourage à vous joindre à nous pendant lors du quatrième webinaire sur le coût. Donc, je vous invite à vous joindre à nous. Nous allons passer la parole à Liane pour nous parler de certains cours d'apprentissage sur la mesure du CSC.
My name is Liane Doherty, and I will be sharing information about the SBC measurement and learning courses. Breakthrough Research is collaborating with Breakthrough Action to offer social and behavior change practitioners and researchers a suite of blended learning capacity strengthening e-courses and toolkits. The courses are self-guided and include a pre-post test, instructional video content, PowerPoints, knowledge check quizzes, and extra assignments and opportunities to further the discussion with other SBC professionals. The objective of these courses and toolkits is to improve the capacity among SBC practitioners and researchers to use SBC approaches to identify and apply solutions to challenges. The courses are available in English and French to reach a broad audience. Two e-courses available through this platform include one focused on monitoring and evaluating of SBC approaches. This course describes how to build an SBC theory of change, how to select meaningful SBC indicators, how to monitor SBC implementation, and how to determine if the SBC program reached the desired outcome. A second course available on the platform focuses on how to measure SBC program or campaign exposure. This course aims to help build a better understanding of SBC program or campaign exposure. It provides examples of SBC exposure questions and data sources, and shows how to use exposure data to inform your SBC program or campaign. We will explore the e-course Measuring SBC Program or Campaign Exposure a bit further. In the learning course, we walk users through how to understand different types of SBC exposure measures. For example, we can measure SBC program reach. Reach measures the extent to which the program or campaign reaches the intended audience. An example of a question that addresses program reach is how many decision makers, local or religious leaders, participated in SBC program trainings. Or we can consider audience recognition, which is also a type of awareness of the program or campaign. Recognition measures if the respondent can provide an affirmative response when prompted with a campaign element. An example question that measures recognition is, can you complete this campaign slogan? Each of these different exposure measures can be used to help programs better understand who they are reaching, if the audience understands the message, and how they feel about the message. The course also explains different types of data sources that can be used to capture exposure data and the pros and cons. For example, project-tailored surveys may allow for the collection of data on specific measures, but may be costly to implement. Similarly, qualitative interviews may be useful to assess comprehension and message reaction in depth that supports program learning, but is not generalizable to the entire target population. Collecting SBC program or campaign exposure data can be used to determine if the program reached the intended audience. Also to determine how to budget for your SBC program based on the desired number of people reached. To assess whether the audience understands the program. To assess the audience reaction to the SBC program or campaign. And to assess whether the program had an impact on the audience reached. And to illustrate how SBC exposure data can be used, we provide an example which shows the percentage of respondents who are exposed to a radio campaign. In this example, we are able to assess if the campaign's priority audiences were being reached. Since the campaign aimed to address both women and men, we assessed radio listenership to see if this would be a strong channel for sharing campaign messages. Here we see the exposure data suggests that radio listenership skewed male, with about a third of female respondents reporting not listening to the radio at all. These findings suggest a multi-channel approach beyond radio is necessary to reach women of reproductive age. You can access the Learning Capacity Strengthening e-courses and toolkits by scanning the QR code to access the web link. Thank you.
Thanks so much again, Liane. And
Merci
now,
beaucoup, Liane.
a few more questions to hear
Nous voulons encore vous écouter à travers Mentimeter. Veuillez reprendre là où vous étiez sur Mentimeter ou si vous venez de vous joindre à nous, allez sur mentimeter.com ou utilisez le code QR pour vous rendre sur Mentimeter. Très bien, je vois les pouces levés. Merci. Nous avons parlé des cours d'apprentissage du CSC, sur la mesure du CSC. La première question, avez-vous jamais utilisé les données d'exposition au CSC pour enseigner votre programme?
Great. It looks like we have responses in all.
Très bien, je vois la réponse, je vois des réponses dans toutes les catégories, ceux qui veulent et ceux qui le font déjà. Nous espérons que ce processus vous aide à le faire davantage et à renforcer l'utilisation de ces données d'exposition. La prochaine question, en une courte phrase, dites-nous quels sont les plus grands défis auxquels vous êtes confrontés lorsque vous mesurez l'exposition à la CSC. Donc, les défis majeurs auxquels vous êtes confrontés.
Great. These are some great challenges. And Leanne, since I know you're online, I wonder if you might want to take a minute.
Donc, Léane vient vouloir apporter des réponses à ces défis, notamment liés au temps et au coût, des défis liés à la contamination des programmes parallèles, ou alors une charge de travail supplémentaire, etc. Pouvez-vous nous dire quelque chose là-dessus? Donc, je vois que vous avez là de très bonnes questions. L'une des choses pertinentes sur le cours, avec le cours sur l'exposition, c'est qu'il existe des techniques que vous pouvez mettre en œuvre. Et nous avons des cours qui permettent de minimiser certains de ces défis liés à la mesure de l'exposition.
Maybe the name of a campaign that isn't actually out there, so you can sort of detect where
Donc, vous pouvez mettre en œuvre ces techniques. Et vous avez également des micro-questions que vous pouvez poser permettant de mesurer l'exposition à la CSC. Et également, ces questions permettent de comprendre jusqu'où les uns et les autres ont compris le programme. Donc, ces questions et ces petites mesures vous permettront d'améliorer la mesure de l'exposition.
It's kind of a mix in terms of sometimes you have to weigh the pros and cons of how you select a measure based on what you're doing. So it may not be a perfect fit. For example, recall period, you may want a shorter period.
Donc, si vous travaillez, la période sur laquelle vous travaillez, qu'elle soit courte ou longue, peut également avoir un rôle sur un rôle à jouer en ce qui concerne la mesure. Parce que quand le programme est très long, les gens peuvent se perdre en conjecture, alors que quand il est assez court, les gens se souviennent de ce dont il s'agit. Cela permet d'évaluer et de mesurer l'exposition à la CSC.
Great, thanks, Leanne, and thanks to all of you for sharing.
Merci à Léane, merci à tous et à chacun pour vos commentaires.
As usual, please keep Mentimeter close by. We'll use it.
Comme d'habitude, nous reviendrons sur Mentimeter très prochainement. Merci.
Now that we have these SBC measurement tools you can use, it's important to also recognize that program designers and evaluators can benefit from SBC insights gained when tried and true research and evaluation methods have new applications in the family planning field. We'd next like to share some highlights of how breakthrough research has applied tried and true research and evaluation methodologies to uncover new SBC insights for family planning. These examples will just be key takeaways, and you can dive deeper into these methodological applications and learn more through the links that will be shared in the chat. Through these presentations, we hope to encourage all of you to think about the different ways we can apply established research, evaluation, and measurement thinking in innovative ways for new discovery.
Hello, my name is Nicole Bellows, and I'll be sharing an example of our work with audience segmentation. Audience segmentation has long been a tried and true methodology in the field of marketing. It's used to identify subgroups within a target audience and deliver tailored messages to those subgroups. Audience segmentation in family planning programs has historically been based on demographic characteristics. At Breakthrough Research, we wanted to go beyond demographic segmentation and explore psychographic factors, sometimes referred to as behavioral determinants, to generate more nuanced audience profiles for maternal and reproductive health behaviors. Using data from household survey conducted in Niger from April and May 2021, we collected information from women of reproductive age on their knowledge, attitudes, norms, self-efficacy, and partner communication related to family planning and maternal health behaviors. We then applied an analytic technique called latent class analysis to generate empirically defined audience subgroups based on patterns of responses across study participants in the survey data. Once we generated the audience subgroups, we were then able to test associations between the subgroups and key outcomes. Here we share 3 examples of personas generated from our audience profiles. We identified Aissatou, who is less likely to use ANC services in a facility in Niger. Aissatou is slightly younger, less educated, and poorer than our study sample. She has fewer positive attitudes, low agreement with supportive social norms, and lower self-efficacy compared to the overall study sample. Bintu is more likely to use a health facility for health delivery services. She is generally less educated and poorer than our study sample. However, Bintu has strong behavioral determinants for attitudes and partner communication, but scores more lower on social norms, suggesting her community environment may not be favorable to delivering in a facility. Finally, Fatou is more likely to use family planning in Niger. Fatou is a young, educated woman who is able to speak to her partner about family planning methods and knows where to find them. In a traditional society such as Niger, where the median age at first birth is below 18, young women such as Fatou can serve as a positive deviant who can influence users who are more resistant to adopt FP methods. Breakthrough Research has prepared a programmatic research brief summarizing our work with audience segmentation. We have also recorded a webinar session, Finding the Right Fit, using segmentation approaches to help shape your social and behavior change programming, which digs deeper into segmentation methodologies as a set of evidence-based approaches that facilitate a more in-depth and nuanced understanding of the individual and contextual drivers of behavior. The webinar presenters explore how segmentation approaches are applied to current SBC programs across various health areas and with different audiences and the way these approaches can help the design and evaluation of SBC approaches. You can find out more information by scanning these QR codes to access the web links. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nicole. Audience segmentation is increasingly growing in popularity in the family planning field, and this is a great example of how to apply
Merci,
it.
Nicole. La segmentation du public est de plus en plus répandue dans le domaine de la planification familiale et ceci est un excellent exemple de la manière d'appliquer cela. Nous passons la parole à Martha à présent.
Next, I'll be talking to you about social listening, which is a tool that you can use to leverage internet-based data, such as social media posts, blogs, and forums, to understand people's opinions and perceptions about topics that are relevant to your social and behavior change campaigns. To get us started, I wanted to reflect on why we should care about data coming from online sources, such as social media. Social media use has been growing steadily all over the world, and as you can see in this graph, in 2020 there were 3.6 billion social media users worldwide, and is still growing. Social listening is often used as an umbrella term for tools and approaches to gain insights about what people are viewing, what they're liking, what they're chatting and commenting about online. And I'd like to differentiate between social media monitoring and social media listening. Social media listening is what you may think of as qualitative analysis, but with a huge data set of online content. It lets you answer questions such as who is messaging and where are these conversations occurring, what are the attitudes, perceptions, and behaviors that are expressed, and what misinformation is circulating, and what can we learn from all of this information. Social media monitoring is often used to track a campaign or a brand and uses quantitative metrics to answer questions such as what is the awareness and the level of engagement with a topic or campaign or brand, what is the volume of conversation around a particular topic, and what is the sentiment of conversation related to this topic. Breakthrough Research's experience with using social listening and social media monitoring as part of a suite of evaluation approaches has shown us that when SBC programs' target audience has a significant online presence, these are great tools for formative research and to track misinformation, opinions, and perceptions about a particular topic of interest, such as family planning. Social media monitoring has allowed us to create rapid and periodic feedback loops with our implementation partners that contribute to programmatic decision-making. We also see the potential for using social listening as part of an evaluation strategy. Used in conjunction with other evaluation approaches, we think social listening can contribute to assessing potential for a campaign's impact, especially when you're able to triangulate the data with other evaluation methodologies. Here's an applied example of how Breakthrough Research used social listening. Social listening allows us to go from social media posts like the one that you see on screen and analyze these posts to gain insights on what is being talked about and how it's being talked about. We do this through bigram analysis as one of many social listening analytic tools. A bigram analysis measures how often words occur next to each other in text, which allows you to identify thematically what types of conversations are occurring. Breakthrough Research has developed several tools that family planning programs can use to gather information about target audiences' knowledge, attitudes, and exposure to SBC interventions. The first brief is called Informing Social and Behavior Change Programs Using Social Listening and Social Monitoring, and it provides an overview of social listening and social media monitoring and explains how these methods can be important tools for collecting information about target audiences. The second is a how-to guide that extends this practical guidance on using social listening and social media monitoring tools to inform SBC programs with applied examples and lessons learned, and they can be accessed through this QR code.
Thanks so much, Martha. And again,
Merci beaucoup, Martha. Nous voulons avoir votre avis à travers Mentimeter. Veuillez reprendre là où vous étiez sur Mentimeter. Ou alors, si vous venez de vous joindre à nous, rendez-vous sur mentimeter.com ou entrez le code ou utilisez le code QR pour vous rendre sur Mentimeter.
Wonderful. It looks like we're all
Très
rejoining.
bien, je vois que nous avons nos pouces levés qui indiquent que nous sommes sur Mentimeter. Nous avons parlé de l'application de la recherche et des méthodes d'évaluation. La première question, en post-check. L'écoute sociale peut-elle permettre de renseigner votre travail? L'écoute sociale peut-elle renseigner votre travail?
Great. It looks like overwhelmingly the answer
Très
is
bien. La réponse est oui, largement, vu que Martha nous l'a expliqué combien les réseaux sociaux sont importants dans la plupart des zones où nos programmes sont mis en œuvre. Donc, prochaine question, nous voulons vous écouter et savoir ce que vous faites depuis. En une courte phrase ou en quelques mots, dites-nous quelles sont les méthodes d'évaluation que vous avez appliquées pour vos approches CSC dans le cadre de votre travail. Méthode d'évaluation utilisée pour les approches CSC dans le cadre de votre travail.
great. Such a diverse set of methodologies being applied, which is
Très
wonderful.
bien, nous voyons que des méthodologies sont appliquées, cela est très bien. Nous espérons que les outils partagés autour de la segmentation du public, et le suivi social vous donnent des outils que vous pouvez utiliser quant aux méthodes d'évaluation que vous voulez appliquer à votre travail. Très bien, merci. Merci une fois de plus pour votre participation active. Nous reviendrons à Mentimeter très prochainement, dans quelques minutes. Donc, merci pour votre participation à travers Mentimeter.
Now that we've shared some of the state-of-the-art evidence and tools you can use, let's look forward to the future and what we can do to continue to strengthen SBC measurement for family planning. A call to action for everyone today. Future SBC approaches to strengthen family planning programs should commit to standardized, robust measurement to enable effectiveness evaluations that support continued investments in evidence-based SBC programs. In particular, to help fill the gaps in measurement, SBC programs can ensure the inclusion of standardized indicators of behavioral determinants and behaviors in their results framework, using a behavioral theory of change to guide their M&E efforts, and go beyond a focus on output level indicators. Service delivery programs that incorporate SBC approaches and those communities of practice with a focus on measurement should promote the use of standardized measures and should monitor and evaluate these SBC efforts using established measurement tools, such as the 12 recommended SBC indicators for family planning. Researchers should continue to use existing SBC indicators and measurement tools and encourage the inclusion of modules that collect behavioral determinant data in surveys, including large-scale surveys, and build the capacity of implementers and policymakers for data use of behavioral determinant data. And last, but certainly not least, donors should commit to investing in robust evaluation and standardized measurement of behavioral determinants and exposure to SBC approaches in family planning programs as a way to address global data equity issues and data gaps so that scaled programs can be informed by the evidence they need.
So with these calls in mind, we'll spend the next
Donc, avec cela à l'esprit, nous allons passer du temps sur une réflexion sur l'appel à l'action. Donc, nous avons Jason Bremer qui se joint à nous. Jason, pouvez-vous réfléchir sur pourquoi la mesure du CSC est importante? Comment vous voyez que le renforcement de cette mesure peut renforcer notre travail et également les actions à mener pour faire avancer la mesure du CSC? Merci Amanda, bonjour, bon après-midi, bonsoir à tous. C'est un plaisir de me joindre à vous avec la perspective de FP 2030. J'ai travaillé avec la planification familiale depuis plusieurs années, 7 ou 8 ans, et j'ai suivi l'évolution du partenariat. Et j'ai suivi l'évolution des engagements au partenariat. Aujourd'hui, avec la planification familiale 2030, plus de 30 pays sont impliqués, plus de 80 organisations qui se sont engagées à la planification familiale FP 2030. Et ces engagements
improving service delivery, improving the enabling environment, increasing financing for family planning, and changing social norms, attitudes, and behaviors around family planning. We have analyzed the country commitments, and we've seen that the
nous avons
majority.
analysé ces engagements et nous voyons que plusieurs pays se sont engagés à l'amélioration de la prestation de services, l'augmentation des fonds disponibles, mais essentiellement au programme de changement comportementaux et sociaux. Donc, c'est important pour FP 2030. Nous avons vu des engagements plus complexes et plus détaillés et l'accent mis sur le comportement des prestataires, l'assistance pour la planification familiale et les normes sociales qui déterminent les choix des individus et les connaissances et les attitudes des individus, les normes et les agences. Mais les agences CSC ainsi que d'autres engagements autour de la prestation de services, autour du financement, ne semblent pas avoir des objectifs spécifiques et mesurables. Donc, je pense que à la base de tout ceci, c'est ce que j'ai vu dans Mentimeter au début de ce webinaire. Les gens n'étaient pas vraiment sûrs de comment mesurer, de quels indicateurs utiliser. Nous n'avons pas reçu des orientations claires sur la mesure des programmes de CSC. Donc, cet appel à l'action est essentiel pour FP 2030, la planification familiale 2030. Donc, l'effort avec les plaques tournantes régionales sera de s'assurer que les engagements sont respectés, notamment l'assistance technique sur comment mener une programmation et sur comment mesurer si cette programmation a été réalisée avec succès et si les changements des normes sociaux, des comportements sont effectifs et efficaces. Donc, nous croyons que malheureusement, un webinaire comme celui-ci ne fait pas tout ce qu'il faut, mais planification familiale 2030 essaie de transmettre cette connaissance, les outils Elle est partagée avec les programmateurs, les responsables de planification familiale et nous espérons que les plaques tournantes régionales nous donneront une base pour y parvenir. Un point essentiel sera la formation à travers des ateliers, l'assistance technique au pays au programme et œuvrer en synergie avec tous et chacun qui sont impliqués dans la recherche CSC pour s'assurer que ces recommandations et cet appel à l'action sont mis en œuvre. Merci à tous ceux qui ont travaillé pour organiser ce webinaire. Merci pour les années de travail depuis 2017 où nous sommes parvenus jusqu'à ce point. Nous avons assez attendu dans nos communautés et nous pensons qu'il reste encore beaucoup à faire. Merci Amanda. Merci Jason pour vos commentaires et il nous tarde de collaborer avec FP 2030 pour nous assurer que ces outils sont disséminés comme il le faut. Nous allons repartir sur Mentimeter, un dernier tour pour aujourd'hui. Ceux qui se joignent à nous, allez à Mentimeter, allez sur mentimeter.com, entrez le code. Donc, le retour d'information au moment où nous entrons dans la section discussion. En un mot, et je sais que ça peut être difficile de vous dire en un mot, mais en un mot, quelle est selon vous la prochaine étape en ce qui concerne la mesure du CSC pour la planification familiale?
It's great to watch this word cloud change by the second as you all let us know.
Je vois que les mots apparaissent chaque seconde sur les prochaines étapes en ce qui concerne la mesure du CSC. Je sais que le monde est dynamique, il est en mutation permanente, mais je vois des mots qui portent sur la dissémination, les ressources, la normalisation, la clarté. Pouvez-vous prendre un bref moment en tant que responsable chez Breakthrough Research pour commenter sur ces points que nous voyons apparaître à l'écran? Donc, à vous la parole, Laura. Merci, Amanda. C'est vraiment excitant de voir les paroles, les mots apparaître sans cesse sur l'écran et ces mots portent alors touchent sur des thèmes principaux. Il est essentiel de faire des commentaires sur ceci au moment où nous réfléchissons également sur les 6 dernières années et nous allons également présenter la recherche sur les agendas d'apprentissage, la normalisation qui semble être le mot le plus récurrent. Je pense que c'est un appel de semonce. Nous en avons entendu parler de long en large en tant que projet. Nous essayons d'établir des normes et je suis fier de voir que nous sommes plus ou moins tous d'accord. Également, ce que Jason a dit, merci pour vos propos. Je pense que nous envisageons ceci depuis quelque temps et nous travaillons ensemble pour mettre en place des outils pratiques que les uns et les autres peuvent utiliser, adapter et appliquer. Et quand je vois ceci, je pense que ces outils permettent d'y parvenir, ce qui est très bien. Un autre point important, c'est la dissémination. Parce que le partage d'expériences et de connaissances et faire progresser cette conversation à travers des plateformes comme FP30 et les plaques tournantes de données, je pense que c'est essentiel. Je vais m'arrêter là, mais c'est vraiment très bien de voir ces points à prendre en compte pour l'avenir. Merci Laura, merci à tous pour votre participation. À votre participation sur Mentimeter. Donc, nous allons passer à la session questions-réponses. Donc, si vous avez des questions par rapport à ce qui a été partagé, si vous avez des questions, n'hésitez pas à les écrire dans la discussion. Nous allons répondre à autant de questions que possible. Nous pourrons répondre aux autres questions plus tard. Donc, sentez-vous libre si vous êtes curieux. Si vous avez la moindre curiosité, n'hésitez pas à poser vos questions. La première question porte sur les normes de réseaux sociaux. La question, c'est les réseaux sociaux changent à la seconde. Et l'écoute sociale ne sera-t-elle pas très disparate? Oui, les réseaux sociaux changent à la seconde. C'est l'une des choses les plus intéressantes avec l'écoute sociale. L'autre point intéressant, c'est que bien que les contenus sur les réseaux sociaux, sur Internet, sont dynamiques, mais ces contenus restent et vous pouvez voir ce que les gens disaient il y a 5 ans, il y a 4 ans, il y a 3 ans, etc. Donc, l'un des moyens, voilà, l'une des utilisations que nous faisons de l'écoute sociale, c'est une analyse rétrospective qui permet de voir comment les discussions évoluent sur un sujet spécifique. Par exemple, au Nigeria, nous avons vu les échanges sur la violence basée sur le genre et vous pouvez voir des tendances intéressantes, notamment les points qui déclenchent les discussions, les points qui déclenchent le changement. Nous avons eu le Me Too Movement qui a déclenché des discussions, des conversations. Bien que ces conversations soient dynamiques, je ne pense pas que ce soit très disparate. Je pense plutôt que nous pouvons suivre l'évolution des choses et des déclencheurs potentiels qui permettent de mettre ces discussions en branle. Nous n'avons pas assez de temps pour en parler, notamment dire comment ça se passe, mais lisez le guide et vous pouvez nous contacter si vous voulez en savoir davantage. Merci. Merci, Matt. Une autre question. C'est une question assez compliquée qui porte sur la mesure de la population qui utilise la contraception, la planification familiale. Donc, est-ce qu'il y a d'autres éléments qui rentrent en compte dans le changement comportemental?
I can get us started. I think that, survey methods are
Je crois que je
certainly
comprends votre question. Les méthodes de suivi sont importantes, mais elles ne doivent pas être menées en présentiel. Les méthodes d'enquête, nous avons utilisé les enquêtes sur formulaire, les enquêtes assistées par ordinateur. Nous avons également une nouvelle approche, le crowdsourcing,
a really interesting way to try to get
qui est un moyen très intéressant permettant d'obtenir des informations auprès d'une population spécifique qui a accès à ce type de technologie. Donc, bien que les enquêtes sont en cours, nous avons toutefois des outils disponibles, de nouveaux outils qui permettent d'obtenir des résultats intéressants. Nous avons toujours des faiblesses, mais nous travaillons et nous avons des résultats assez positifs. Merci, Martha.
Oh, go ahead, please.
Just going to jump into and say, one of the things that we've thought about, first of all,
J'aimerais également dire que
to make sure that they are grounded in qualitative research and that you're reflecting the contextual nuances of specific audience groups or geographic areas. And then also one thing that we'd really like to see, I think, looking forward is maybe a separate module that can be included in some of
Nous
the
aimerons mettre en place un module séparé sur les enquêtes qui permettra de répondre à ces questions et de générer des données afin d'avoir des informations et des perspectives sur comment organiser les programmes. Merci, Liane. Une autre question.
Can we use these kinds of SBC approaches to other programs like HIV
Est-ce qu'il est
testing?
possible d'utiliser ces méthodes sur d'autres programmes comme les tests VIH? Bonjour à tous. Oui.
HIV testing.
Cet outil de changement social est important et pertinent pour les tests VIH au sein des formations sanitaires et même à l'extérieur. Les campagnes de promotion, pour l'utilisation des tests comme mesure de prévention, de protection. Je ne sais pas si la personne qui pose la question voulait une réponse plus spécifique. Si cette personne peut en dire davantage, j'aurai une réponse plus précise. Merci.
I see a bigger picture question, and we'll see.
Je vois une question un peu plus générale. Les projets de prestation de services qui incorporent le CSC. Je ne pense pas que nous avons une seule prochaine étape, mais nous avons plusieurs propositions d'étapes à suivre dans le cadre de ce programme sur les prestataires de services.
So I can jump in, Amanda.
Je vais juste dire un mot.
Leanne to mention the work that we've just completed around
Nous avons complété un travail avec Liane sur les méthodes et les mesures mises en œuvre pour étudier et examiner le changement de comportement des prestataires. Donc, en ce qui concerne la prestation des services, l'une des leçons apprises, c'est le manque de définition claire sur la programmation du changement de comportement des prestataires et comment mesurer cela. Les méthodes et les approches utilisées pour mener cette enquête. Nous essayons de travailler en partenariat avec Breakthrough Action pour élaborer ces définitions. Ce travail sera publié très prochainement à travers un journal supplément. Donc, je ne sais pas quelle est la prochaine étape exactement, mais nous allons passer en revue les mesures utilisées dans le cadre du changement de comportement des prestataires et nous allons voir quelles sont les lacunes. Merci, Martin.
Leanne, I wonder, there's a question that's come in around how do you factor in self-reporting by respondents, for example?
Comment prendre en compte le reportage, l'auto-reportage? Donc, il y a beaucoup de méthodes pour y parvenir. Nous avons un guide qui établit les points pour et les points contre. Pouvez-vous nous en dire quelque chose, s'il vous plaît?
One way to sort of address this is to triangulate methods, and so to look.
Il est important d'adopter une sorte de triangulation et tirer parti de différentes sources.
Perfect answer, but at least get closer
Il
to
sera
understanding
peut-être difficile d'avoir une réponse exacte, une réponse parfaite, mais nous pouvons tirer parti de différentes options disponibles. Ce qui fonctionne dans certaines zones où les croyances sont plus traditionnelles,
they do still seem to sort of report on their, their negative beliefs. I mean, it's not all positive. I think, the presentation.
j'ai vraiment du mal à écouter l'oratrice.
We did see those nuances, particularly when you bring together different types of behavioral determinant data. You can see, for example, she was showing that there's a younger group that splits off almost 20% actually, that splits off that has more positive behavioral determinant data, and you can see that reflected in their contraceptive use patterns as well. So I think, kind of triangulating different types of questions and triangulating different types of methods can kind of help you to hone in a bit better on those issues.
Great, thanks, Leanne. And I think
Merci, Liane. Pour des raisons de temps, je vais apporter une réponse à cette question. Y a-t-il des moyens de segmenter le public sur la base de l'écoute sociale ou le suivi social? Avez-vous déjà expérimenté cela lorsque vous travaillez dans les réseaux sociaux? Je n'ai pas encore rencontré cela. C'est une question assez intéressante. L'une des limites avec les réseaux sociaux, c'est que les métadonnées auxquelles vous avez accès, notamment sur les caractéristiques individuelles de chaque personne qui poste, l'une des choses à garder à l'esprit avec l'écoute sociale, c'est l'intimité qui est très importante pour les utilisateurs individuels et qui limite vos efforts à savoir, ou alors vos efforts visant à savoir qui a fait la publication. Vous pouvez avoir accès sur si oui ou non la personne est enregistrée en tant qu'homme ou femme, mais vous n'avez pas accès à d'autres informations plus personnelles. Donc là, c'est un défi. Toutefois, je reste éveillé. Merci à tous de vous joindre à nous pendant 1h30. Veuillez utiliser ce code QR pour accéder aux documents de ressources qui seront également disponibles dans la discussion et partagés par email à la suite de ce webinaire. Si nous n'avons pas répondu à certaines questions, nous allons y répondre à la suite de ce webinaire. Encore merci de vous être joints à nous aujourd'hui. Joignez-vous à nous le 21 mars pour parler d'un environnement propice pour la planification familiale et le 19 avril pour parler des coûts liés au CSC, dont nous avons parlé brièvement pendant ce webinaire. Merci à tous et bonne journée. Il nous tarde de vous voir le 21 mars lors de notre prochain webinaire. Merci beaucoup.